your methodology for evaluating success in media, it's a lot of money and it demands accountability and transparency and governance.
Understand where your limitations are currently, and then make sure that you've got a remedial strategy to impose better audit processes on the majority of your media spend.
Hi, I'm Tom Denford and I'm in New York.
And I'm David Indo and I'm in London.
I spent a decade as a global executive for agencies like WPP, Omnicom and Publicis.
And I spent a decade as a senior marketeer managing media for powerful brands like Coca-Cola and Nike.
And 15 years ago, we came together to create IDComms, the world's first specialist media advisory and analytics consultancy. And today the company spans 14 time zones and we serve dozens and dozens of iconic brands around the world.
This is our show Media Snack, where we share our bite-sized expert view on how procurement and marketing leaders are winning in media today.
We appreciate you tuning in and we're excited to dive into today's show. Right, let's jump straight into how not to lose. And we're talking again about the Omnicom and IPG merger, but we're going to be talking about what opportunities that actually creates for advertisers.
That's right, Tom, because it's about disruption. A merger of this significance and magnitude, we've never witnessed it before. And the narrative, the confusion, the noise around this potential merger, because it hasn't yet been approved, is having implications that far outreach just those advertisers that operate within Omnicom and IPG. And as in any market, what often happens when it's a very disruptive marketplace is that it provides wonderful opportunities for those advertisers and those participants that want to act decisively and in time. And over the last, 2 or 3 weeks, Tom, we've been speaking to loads of advertisers, both this side of the Atlantic and in the US, and trying to help them understand what the opportunities are and what the actions that they can put in place to try and capitalize on the opportunities that this confusion and this disruption in the marketplace offers.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, since the news was announced on the 10th of December, I think it was, from memory now.
Yeah.
Really, since then, we've had calls from advertisers and also consulting with our clients as well that we provide advice to about how it's going to impact them. Lots of Omnicom and IPG clients, of course, are concerned about just understanding how to navigate this effectively, but also from other advertisers that work with different agencies and unsure what the impact or even the opportunity might be or what they should do. And internally, there's questions that are being asked within those marketing organizations and they want to have some answers. So they come to us, some people like us, to say, what should we be thinking? What should we be doing? And now we've kind of reflected on these dozens of conversations with advertisers over recent months, can say that they really just fall into like 4 cohorts. I mean, it's quite easy to actually segment the market. And we'll share that with you today. So if you think of a matrix, the first question that we ask an advertiser is, which agencies do you work with? So really, do you work with an Omnicom or IPG agency currently for media as a lead agency? Like yes or no? So that's the first question. You work with Omnicom and IPG agencies or do you work with other agencies? And then the other question we ask them is, are you really happy with your relationship with whichever agency it is? Or are you not sure, maybe you're coming to the end of a contract, maybe it's up for renewal next year and you're wondering what to do. And again, we can segment them. Are they super happy and they want to stick with the agency that they're with, or are they open to discussions with other agencies potentially either now or in the future? And if you put those two things together, it creates 4 cohorts, right? You've got very happy Omnicom and IPG clients, or IPG or Omnicom clients who are open to discussing other opportunities with other agencies. You've got advertisers who work with other agencies currently, and maybe they are happy or not so happy. And we have those create 4 different routes, different paths of how to navigate for the next 12, maybe 24, maybe 36 months. Okay. Because this deal still likely to go ahead. We don't see any real blocker to it at the moment. And as long as that continues to go ahead, then advertisers need to be prepared. Okay, so we'll put it up on screen. We've got basically 4 cohorts that we talk to. And basically, if you're an advertiser, you fit into one of these groups. Okay, so, and you have to just figure out based on those questions, like which group you fit into And when we show the graphic, you'll see there's a clear strategy that we're giving to advertisers. Very happy to share that with you. And if you want to talk more about any of these things, obviously reach out to us at ID Comms, and we'll happily talk you through them. So you can see, we'll put this up on screen. On the first box, you can see on the left, these are advertisers that are happy working with other agencies, non-Omnicom or IPG agencies. And we're calling those the deal watchers because they're just going to see how this plays out. They've got no reason to do anything too dramatic. They're happy where they are. But the likelihood is that those agencies will be very keen to hang on to them. And so there's an opportunity to relook at terms and maybe renegotiate. And then our advice to them is reassess in 12 months' time. Okay. Let the deal conclude, let the integration make a lot of progress, see what Omnicom and IPG are saying at that point, see how you feel about your agency, reassess. Okay. The next group you can see is what we call the safe passage. And those are major advertisers with Omnicom and IPG who are just happy. And whilst they didn't ask for this merger to happen, and we've talked about that in the previous episode, they can make the best of it. And so an opportunity to renegotiate. Omnicom will not be wanting to lose any clients, either of these agencies. So opportunity just to come back and reestablish terms, see what you can tighten up in your contract. There's new contract templates that we're advising on. And importantly, insulate your team, your agency team, that is. So if you're a major IPG client, for example, your IPG team might be a little worried about going through the merger. Well, let's lock them in, right? Let's reassure them that they've got jobs for the next 3 years. Renegotiate, insulate that team, focus on the business as usual, because that's the most important thing. Minimize, insulate yourself from the disruption. So those are the kind of happy clients, and most clients are happy clients, so that's good. If you're not so happy, or you're coming to the end of a contract, or you're wondering about what to do in the next year or so, then you'll be in this kind of green or orange box. If you are with a non-Omnicom IPG client, we're calling these open to new ideas. So you're going to be working with, the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on ranked agency. Okay. And the opportunity, if you're not happy right now, it's probably you have the opportunity to go pitch right now. Okay. So if you're thinking about it, this is a good market. It's a buyer's market. We'll talk about that in a minute. Agencies are being very, very aggressive and competitive. This deal has raised the bar on what's possible from agencies. And that cohort there, they're open to new ideas, can really take advantage of that right now. We're recommending to those clients that are open to it, that if they're going to pitch, they should just pitch right now. Assess your options and pitch right now. The final, last but not least, is if you're with Omnicom IPG and you're just not sure, then we would advise you against going to pitch. You'd be maybe crazy to kind of jump ship too prematurely, obviously, and particularly if the deal doesn't go through, you're disrupting things for no reason at all. So like the other groups, renegotiate a bit now, okay? Maybe extend your contract 12 months. Allow yourself time to assess, go through the merger, go through the integration, and then if you're keen to pitch, don't pitch now, pitch in a year's time, and you'll be in a much better position to be making the right decision and not to have jumped ship from what might be a very, very good proposition for you from Omnicom and IPG in 12 months.
Well, I'll tell you what I would do if I was a client.
Yeah, tell me.
When I was a client. And by the way, when I was a client, I was a happy client most of the time. So perhaps that's going to skew my recommendation, but nevertheless. The first thing that I would do if I was sitting in the hot seat within a brand would be to speak to my stakeholders, my internal stakeholders, to understand or to get a gauge on the temperature of the relationship. Do we feel that the agency are leaning in, fulfilling their strategic roles, their executional roles? Have I got the right talent on the business? Are they properly engaging? Am I being considered a priority client? We've talked about priority clients a lot in the past. Now, priority clients within any agency organization unlock disproportionate value. So whether it's your first year of a tenure or a 10th year of a tenure, you need to make sure you are a priority client. If you are not a priority client in this buyer's market, then perhaps you need to consider doing something else. Okay. So make sure that you sense check with your teams, the temperature of the relationship. Are you a priority client? And when was the last time that you renewed and re-looked at your contract? and your scope of work. Okay, those should give you the signals as to where you sit within those four quadrants. Generally speaking, our recommendation to clients is hold tight. Don't pitch this year, but renegotiate. Go back to the agencies, go back to your agencies, irrespective of where you sit within all of the agency groups, and recalibrate your terms to protect you for the next 12 to 18 months. That will give you time to see how the dust settles with Omnicom-IPG, how that is then influencing the reaction of the other holding companies and the independents. And that will give you a position of greater considered thought when it comes to doing something slightly more strategic. So hold tight, renegotiate if in doubt, and then think maybe long term in about 18 months' time.
Yeah, very good. Good advice. And those are some practical steps you can take. We've obviously got a lot of clients that fit into these boxes. You know, we've been advising them on preparing their strategies in these negotiations or pitch situations. We have a toolkit that's kind of ready to go if you're interested in learning about how our team can support your renegotiation. Doesn't have to be a big aggressive move, but it's just bringing the agency to the table. And as David said, you know, tightening up in some of these places. We'd be very happy to help reach out. You'll have seen a URL on screen that you can go to get access to this and other resources that we've pulled together. It's a big story. It's going to be something, as we said in December, we're going to be talking about this all year, I think. But you can go to idcoms.com/Omnicom, which has all the resources that we've pulled together, all the kind of interesting insights that we've found from the merger and the deal and the news reporting and things, our perspective. Plus, you can get access to some assets that we're sharing with our clients, a list of questions, some kind of notes from meetings that we've had with Omnicom leadership, access to these kind of grids that can help you decide and navigate the right path. And our team is always here to help you, support you, confidentially in the background so that you're making the right decisions for your brand. So if you find yourself in a situation, as we've described in that grid, I mean, most advertisers really have an opportunity to renegotiate in 2025. So if you find yourself in a position to renegotiate, one of the really important things you're going to want to do is to be able to establish with the agency some quality parameters for the media buying. Okay. And that's what we find time and time again is too much is focused on just the price of media. And we skip over too much the quality of media. So on how to win segment today, we're going to talk about actually how to set that up in a negotiation with an agency so that they understand how to deliver quality and effectiveness and not just cheap media.
Yeah, absolutely right, Tom. And we're going to talk about auditing.
Yes.
Our favorite subject.
It's the way to do it, though. It is. It's the way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, but not old school, traditional,
boring,
prehistoric auditing. This is about modern techniques for auditing the way that modern media operates. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's just take a couple of facts for a second. The industry that we operate in will soon be $1 trillion. 70% of that $1 trillion is invested through digital channels. Mm-hmm. 70%. 80% of that 70% is traded on auction-based marketplaces. Mm-hmm. Has no respect for scale or volume. Doesn't have any influence on discounts whatsoever. Mm-hmm. It's purely a metric designed around demand and supply. Mm-hmm. It's like buying media on eBay. That's the way that we kind of discussed it in the past. So imposing old school, traditional audit methods on biddable auction-based marketplaces is fundamentally flawed because traditional audit methods are based around a guaranteed price, which is negotiated at the beginning of the year often. And then the agency has a ceiling with which it can't go beyond. Now, the problem that you have if you impose that methodology on auction-based marketplaces is that it limits your ability to reach the audiences that you want to.
Yeah, you're still buying cheap media.
You're still buying cheap media, but it's the wrong type of media. And so you are preventing the agency from doing what they do well, generally, from doing their best. And so that is a prohibitive strategy, which is absolutely fundamentally flawed. And when so much of your investment is going through that channel, you can see how risky and dangerous that policy and that strategy is.
Yeah.
So what we say is when you are renegotiating or recalibrating your contract with your agency partners, make it clear to them that the audit and the governance protocols that you will be putting in place as part of that transition, as part of that process to reinvigorate your relationship with the agency, will be a modern approach, a progressive approach to biddable media accountability.
Yeah.
And there are two things that we need to think about when it comes to kind of progressive accountability on biddable platforms. The first is that we will not be imposing a cost or price ceiling threshold on any biddable prices. There will be other elements that we will impose to make sure that you get the right stuff, but we will not be looking at price discounts as a metric for success, because that just leads you only one way, and you don't want to be there.
Which is
what we will be focusing
media,
on,
really poor quality media.
Poor quality media, if it's human at all. The likelihood is that the impressions that you're getting are robotic impressions. They're not even human. So that is just burning money. So we're not going to do that. What we're going to focus our metrics, our KPIs on, is based on outcomes. So business outcomes, how that media investment is linked to a growth agenda that business has. And those are the two really, really important dynamics of modern-based auditing. We don't look at price discounts, but we look at outcomes. Because, and this is a nice phrase that I picked up at a recent conference, not all impressions are the same when it comes to sort of digital inventory. So we need to make sure that we protect and make sure that those clients that are increasingly investing more and more on digital platforms have the right governance protocols to make sure that any wastage is reduced, and the ability for the agencies to optimize those campaigns to deliver against business outcomes is firmly in place.
Yeah, very good. I mean, I think we'd said at this conference, we spoke recently at a conference where we kind of laid this out for a lot of procurement and marketing folks, and it was called "The High Cost of Cheap Media," or "Cheap Media Comes with a High Cost." And this is really a powerful headline, because that's really true. And what we're finding is more and more brands now are really conscious of that, as you say, like having wasted money, literally wasted money, burnt money, buying a media impression that doesn't reach a human is not an achievement. That is not success. Getting that dirt cheap is not good for brands. Our belief always is that brands deserve better media, as you know, and that's the whole ethos of the company that we've built over the years. Is trying to get brands a better deal in media, and then trying to focus much more on the effectiveness and the outcomes. The entire industry has evolved over years, and now, as you say, for most brands, at least 50% of their money goes through biddable, programmatic search, social, retail, some influencer. That's an increasing proportion of spend. But the audit methodology is just sort of left behind. It hasn't kept up with that. It's still trying to impose a discount and rate card onto something which is bought in auction. It just doesn't make any sense. So implications for advertisers is as advertisers, you've moved with the times. Your methodology for evaluating success in media, it's a lot of money, and it demands accountability and transparency and governance. And those methods have not kept up with the times. And that's why we've developed that practice in recent years. And we provide this to a lot of major advertisers around the world, which is a highly accurate and reliable way of auditing biddable media and understanding what you bought and whether you got what you thought you were going to get and what you can do better in future. And so that's the technique, is to really forensically scrutinize what you've bought and look for ways to optimize in the future, working collaboratively actually with the agency. That's the interesting thing, is that this is not a gotcha. We don't set traps for the agency. We don't push them through some kind of black box evaluation where they don't know what they're being compared to, and they get graded on discounts. This is fully transparent. That's certainly the way that we do it. The implications are positive. This isn't, we call it auditing. It does sound a bit boring. This is really performance evaluation and optimization of spend to drive more effective outcomes. That's really what it's about. In the past, where advertisers and their agencies have been in a race to the bottom to buy cheaper and cheaper media, it degrades quality. So the implications, if you keep going down that road, the quality degrades to a point where it is completely ineffective. And that is not good for brands to be wasting money. So there's a responsibility. If you work in procurement, you work in marketing procurement, or you work in media or marketing, you've really got to lean in and have a look at this. Is what the quality and the effectiveness and the outcomes that you're getting from your media investment, because the implications are severe on the success of your brands. If your creative messages are not reaching humans, you're letting the business and your brand managers down. So
absolutely,
the implication is lean in. Find work with a company like us or somebody similar who can help you understand where money's flowing through those systems. And we have expert traders in our teams who advise brands how to optimize their spend through these different channels on a continuous basis. The implication there is that we're not on a race to the bottom. We're actually on a race to the top. We're setting a high bar over which we want our agencies and our media partners and our platforms and our vendors to get over. We want to set a high bar for effectiveness, not a low bar for price. The world has moved on, and we've moved on with it, hopefully, and we want to be serving those advertisers that really understand that effectiveness is really what you want from media investment and not discount. I mean, advice for marketers, David. I mean, you've been on the brand side for a long, long time. So in the context, again, of all that change and disruption that's happening, what's your advice to marketers? How do you capture that opportunity?
Well, I mean, the first thing I'd do is I'd see the limitations of my current audit approach. So and I hope that you're being audited, because if you're not being audited, then you need to start getting audited, or you need to have an accountability program in place anyway. That's the first thing. Assuming that you do, and most advertisers, certainly of any significant spend, have some sort of audit program in place. Understand what the limitations are of it. If you are still only tracking price, then you need to relook at that. If you are looking at slightly more progressive methodologies in terms of accountability for biddable, then interrogate whether they are best practice or not. But on the assumption that you are not doing, or you are not imposing some more modern methodologies on your auditing, then you have to go to tender. Find an audit company, find a media consulting company similar to ours that can help you, because not doing anything is not a solution, is not an option. So understand where your limitations are currently, and then make sure that you've got a remedial strategy to impose better audit processes on the majority of your media spend. Speak to companies like ours and find out how they can help you.
When this episode goes out, we're right in the middle of conference season. So David and I and our team are traveling all over the place at very different conferences, meeting clients and prospects and other interesting partners across the industry. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the implications of the Omnicom and IPG merger for advertisers. And we're talking to a lot of advertisers about that. They want to know what to do. And we're talking to them about changing these dynamics of how you hold accountability in media and your spend, and driving outcome on a higher bar and all this kind of stuff. So this is what we're doing. We're busy. If you see us out on the road, come say hi. We're very happy to talk about this or any other things to do with your media. But I think that is the end of the show.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Media Snack. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a positive review, and remember to like and subscribe on YouTube.
And we love hearing your comments, so please don't be shy in the comments section below.
That's it for now. See you next time on Media Snack.